Hi, Women in Aviation International. My name is Nicola and I'm the Group Sustainability Manager for LuxAviation, and I'm also Chair of the Air Charter Association's Next Generation Group. I'm currently in London Stansted Airport to be with you. I hope that this video will provide you a bit of insight into my journey into aviation, and more specifically what inspired me to dedicate my career to aviation sustainability. So with that being said, I want to just cast my mind back and think about what did inspire me to get into aviation in the first place. And when I think about this as a child growing up, inherently I was always around discussions which focused on aviation. And this was partially because my granddad was an engineer, and he made or contributed to making several different components for Concorde, which, as we know, was an iconic and still is an iconic piece of aviation history. And in addition to that, both my great-grandfathers, in fact, were Royal Air Force pilots, otherwise known as the RAF. So there was definitely some level of social influence at the very early stages. But in addition to that, my family always made sure that I was very well traveled. I was often visiting various parts of the globe quite regularly. And this then sparked a curiosity to really understand what connected the travel and tourism industry. And as we know, aviation is a core part of that. So with these two elements combined, I, without hesitation, explored my first entry into aviation, which really began working for an established in-flight caterer. Now this had completely broadened my horizons as to, firstly, the aviation industry in general, and secondly, business aviation more particularly. I had the opportunity to work with world-renowned chefs, established caterers, hotels, and renowned restaurants. And this was, I found, fascinating. As a foodie myself, I absolutely loved this first role. But what I did realize is that I wanted to delve into aviation more deeply. So this then set me up for my next position as a charter specialist, whereby I began my career for ExecuJet, which of course is part of the LuxAviation Group, my current employer, and this enabled me to manage several multidisciplinary charter programs simultaneously, and each day was different in its own respect, whether it be the catering that we were providing, whether it be the passengers that we were flying, or the brokers who we were connecting with. And I just found this role exhilarating, and it was a 24-hour business. And really I felt a sense of adrenaline, whether it was the early mornings or late nights, it didn't matter. You had, what kept you going was your passion. And like I say, it was this adrenaline that you felt, knowing that you were contributing to this aircraft departing from point A, all the way to point B, and perhaps onwards and onwards. So I was in this role for around 5.5 years before I began reflecting on this position and my contribution to this role. And I then realized there was a wider impact on the environment. And as we know, there has been a lot more focus on this area of aviation, for example, the environmental impact. So with that being said, I had this in the back of my mind for quite some time, but this area of focus was catalyzed really due to my first trip I took to Iceland. And I remember taking the journey, hiking up this majestic glacier, looking out onto the horizon of southern Iceland. And the local tour guide was telling me about this glacier I was standing on and how it used to reach the ocean that I was looking at. But we were miles back by this point, and she had said it was obviously due to climate change because it had retreated so much. And it was at this very point I had an inherent sense of guilt because I felt that I was contributing to the problem. So at that point in time, I made a pledge to dedicate my career specifically to aviation and sustainability, because I knew that I had a passion for creating positive change, because I do truly believe that we can change our behaviors for the better, because we are in an environment that can and will enable us to do so. And with that being said, when I got back to the UK, I carried on researching to see the opportunities at my disposal. And without it being, it wasn't a shock to me that it wasn't really discussed at this point in time in business aviation. The conversations of sustainability just weren't there. But nevertheless, I was fortunate enough to be living relatively locally to Cambridge University. So I decided to undertake several studies which focused on sustainable aviation fuel, carbon offsetting, and just behaviors in general, and how we can change those to shape both our social and physical environments for the better, for the long-term well-being of both people and the planet. And once I had completed at least part of these studies, my employer at the time began to see and notice the work that I was doing. And I was fortunate enough to be appointed my current position of Group Sustainability Manager. So to provide you a bit of insight as to what I do day to day in my role, a lot of it is understanding where the issues are or challenges are and learning how to overcome them. So I regularly liaise with various stakeholders across not only LuxAviation Group, but externally too. I liaise with various associations. I have a big network of people who are all important to not only our journey internally within the organization, but externally, even beyond aviation as a whole. And in addition to that, it is supported by monitoring and measuring to implement key targets that will help drive this systemic change that we so inherently need. So with that, and before I leave you to continue the discussions on sustainability, there is one core message that I want to share with you. And it's that if you're interested in this area of expertise, then please don't hesitate to get involved, and please don't hesitate to contact me and ask me any questions that you may be wanting to. But what I can share with you is that we are going to see a plethora of opportunities in this space arise, not only within aviation as a whole, but in business aviation particularly over the coming years. But with that being said, even if perhaps your prime position isn't available now, just take that step into the industry, because whatever role you step into, you can create positive change, whether it be for people or whether it be for the planet. And this is the change that we need, because the challenges that we face with sustainability are systemic. They are not just the role and responsibility of a sustainability manager or officer. It is going to take each one of us in this ecosystem as a collective to solve some of the greatest challenges we face as a humanity. So with that, thank you very much for having me, and I wish you an enjoyable event, and I hope to see you all again soon. Thank you and bye.